Hey everyone, this is Amanda Moore from the Angelman Syndrome Foundation, and you're listening to the ASF podcast, the show that explains everything you want to know about Angelman Syndrome. We're so excited you're here, and we hope you enjoy the show.
Well, thank you guys so much for being here and listening to our Angelman Syndrome Foundation podcast. We are super excited today to welcome Advocacy Abby, who is a part of our partnership with Support Now. So, Abby, I'm going to let you introduce yourself, and if you want to talk a little bit, we have talked about Support Now within ASF and on social media, but we would love for you to talk about it and how your relationship with Support Now and Advocacy Abby became one.
Yeah, so my name is Abby Zacharitz. I am the Director of Family Advocacy for Support Now. I'm also known as Advocacy Abby on Instagram. If you go there, you just look at Advocacy Abby, advocacy.abby, and you'll quickly see that I'm an expert in grants and fundraising. I share tips, and when I see a new grant, I'll update my website, which is Connect, which we'll talk about a little bit today, as well as my Instagram profile, so people can see just these new grants and know that there's resources out there to help them. So I am a mother of 5, and when I was pregnant with my 5th child, my 4th child, Wyatt, had an accident, and as a result of his accident, he suffered an anoxic brain injury, and that really turned our lives upside down. And I know it's different than Angelman syndrome, but at the same time, I feel like when you get a diagnosis, whether it's in utero or there was an accident or you get a call from a doctor after a test, your world, what you knew to be, is no longer, and everything goes upside down.
Yeah,
right?
Most people within the Angelman world in our community don't get diagnosed until a year, 2 years. I think now diagnoses are happening younger and younger, but we were 17 months, and it blindsided us when my son was diagnosed at 17 months. So yeah, regardless of how you enter into this world of disabilities and individuals with intellectual and physical disabilities, we're all in this same boat. We're all trying to figure out, how do you navigate this world with little connection and with little support? You like what I did
Yes.
there?
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. So while you aren't in rare disease, you very much are your own in a way.
Well, yeah. And what I found out was there's actually a lot of crossover between all diagnosis and disability, and we can really learn and glean from each other. But that being said, I quickly found out that insurance would not cover some of the equipment and treatment and therapies I needed for my son. And time was important. Like, we didn't have years to wait on a therapy or a treatment. We needed to have that treatment to impact his life. And so we decided money was not going to be what stopped us. However, I was a stay-at-home mom of 5 kids, and my husband was a pastor at the time. So money was not, we didn't have any.
Right.
And so I went on the internet and I started Googling different organizations. Matter of fact, actually, the first time I found a grant was through word of mouth from mom to mom. And so I'm a huge advocate for communities, even if it's just a support community, just the information they can give you back and forth to one another, like, have you tried this, or have you thought about this, or hey, this will save you a lot of time. There's so many parents that I've been able to help that it took me months to find things. Now it just takes some seconds because we just talk to each other. And so I was approved for my first ever grant, and it opened like a Pandora box, and I was like, I wonder if there's more of these out there.
Yeah.
And I was really happy to find out there was thousands and thousands of grants out there, and they just need to be talked about. And so I started consulting families and corporations and teaching them how to better get funding for their clients. And I happened to come across Support Now's site. I reached out to them so we could chat. And when I found their site, when they told me about how they round up, for how they allow donors to round up so that 100% of the intended donation could go to families, it really hit me, because I had done GoFundMe's in the past and I was really discouraged when a big old chunk of money came out.
Yeah.
All I could think of was that's a special tomato seed or that's a piece of equipment that my kid could have been using. Yeah. Go
I
ahead. Go
want to
ahead.
back up real quick because I don't think we at ASF have. I remember the day that was actually a board member of ours, Taylor, who connected Amanda and I with Scott, and she was like, "You have to meet them. This sounds like a great opportunity." And so we connected with Scott with Support Now, and just reading about it and hearing about it, not like you said, how all of the financial part can go to families is huge because everyone gets hit with that GoFundMe. GoFundMe is such a great, when it came out, it was such a great tool. And it was something that, the community anyone could just, you could rally around. But what the majority of people don't know is that it does take a percentage of money out. And like you said, that could be whether that's helping to pay rent or in our situation, a lot, it's a piece of equipment. You see GoFundMe's for a stand or for a talker, for whatever it might be. But what I really loved about Support Now is that it takes all of those together, right? It takes Meal Train, it takes GoFundMe, it takes everything to support the family where they are right now, carpool pickups. And I just remember meeting with
Yeah.
Scott and you and just thinking, this is amazing. Like, how do we push this? How do we advertise this? Because this is what families need.
Yeah. Yeah. It truly is an all-in-one platform. So, when we had our accident, we had a meal train, we had a Facebook group, we had some moms just saying, okay, I'm going to take her kids to school. Could you help me with it? And people, a lot of spinning plates, which I personally had no, people were doing it for us, right?
Right, right.
But it would have been simpler to when I was ready to take over, which I did eventually. About 4 weeks in, I started doing updates myself and
Mhm.
then just to coordinate and have support for those other people that were like trying to help. They knew us more intimately, so they were caring a lot.
Right.
And they easily could have had a lot more support if it was all in one spot. And a lot of people don't know, like Train takes 7.9%. Like
Yeah.
they take a big old chunk. And so if you can keep more money, have it all in one place and use the lend a hand feature, which is what you were talking about. Like it's a unique feature to Support Now where you literally can say, I need somebody to pick up the kids at 3:30 and your community can raise a hand saying, I got that.
Right.
It's a way we know that support is so much more than just money, right? And it's so much more than just food. It really is the entire community. I mean, I have some people that I've worked with that they just list out prayer. Like we
Right.
need somebody praying for a kid before the surgery, or
Yeah.
we need somebody to walk the dog because I'm at the clinic with my kid. And so
And
those
it's
things,
things that you don't think about. It's things that, I know that when Stetson was diagnosed or we had a few hospital stays and people be like, well, how can I help? Because they truly wanted to. I didn't
Mhm.
even have the ability to answer them, to say, actually, dinner on Tuesday, or Matt doesn't have the opportunity to go mow the grass right now. And we are so like, I could not wrap my head around what we needed. I needed something to kind of step in and be like, this is your schedule. This is where you need help, and just be able to put it
Yeah.
all in one, as well as the updates. And that is something that is so huge because it's exhausting as parents of, being caregivers to have to give the updates all the time and just post and reply. And everyone means so well and everyone wants to help. It's just they don't know how. So
Yeah.
that's what I love about it.
Sometimes they feel uncomfortable and they're like, I don't want to overstep and
Yes.
they're going through a lot. I'll just stay back. And
Right.
sometimes they're like, I gave, but I want to do more. Like
Right.
I gave some money, but like, can I show up for you physically somehow? And it really does allow people to support in the best way that suits them. So, not everybody is equipped to give financially. Not everybody's equipped to show up. But if
Right.
I'm across the country and my cousin posts something and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to help Ashley right now,
Yeah.
um, I can do that. I can literally raise a hand for something that's long distance sometimes, or I could just give financially. And so, like having it all in one place. And I love that you brought up the updates because when you have something major, like a major diagnosis happen, or your community finds out, everybody reaches out with good intentions.
Right.
And so, our goal at Support Now is just to really reduce overwhelm,
Yeah.
like to make it simple, clean, efficient, one place. And it's only getting better
Yeah.
as we go on because we are pretty young.
Yeah.
And so, Yeah, so I met them and heard all this, right? And so I immediately started using their platform when I was coaching my people, and that was just individuals with diagnosis, really broad at the time. I was working with a lot of cerebral palsy. My son has that secondary diagnosis, and
Mhm.
then sometimes rare diagnosis that didn't realize there was tons of grants for them because it was so rare.
Yes. Right.
But there's a whole genre of that, and I had this really awesome spreadsheet that I kept all of my grants on.
Yeah.
And I met Jordan, and she was like, "You need to talk to our CTO. Like, he has this idea, and I think your idea and his idea really merge well." And
Yeah.
we got on the Zoom and just asked what my dream was. And then I said it was to create a database that kept all of this stuff that I'm doing, but to be living and breathing. Because
Hmm.
one of the things I hated as a parent was I'd go to a resource page and the links were all outdated and the applications didn't work. And it was just disheartening. Like I'd do all this due diligence and then it'd be like, oh, this isn't for your diagnosis. Or,
Or
oh,
it closed 2 years ago, waiting
yep,
funding, maybe it will reopen. Like
yeah,
it's just
yep.
it's exhausting to go.
Yeah, or you don't fit the financial verification doesn't work for me, or whatever it is. And so I was like, what if we could create that and we could filter those roadblocks out? Like you could say, I have this diagnosis, I live in this state or this country. I can now with our platform. So we basically came together and created the largest database in the world that's living and breathing because we have an actual team
Mm.
that reviews every single grant. And so we put human eyes on them and we check it. And when a foundation closes their application, we turn it off so you can still see it, but it says it's not accepting right now. It says
Right.
uncertain actually, because we leave that broad just in case. There's always a chance we check on Monday and on Tuesday they turn it on and we didn't know. So we leave a little bit of wiggle room by saying uncertain. But within 30 to 45 days, it's going to reflect correctly regardless.
Right.
And so we are constantly scouring the internet for new grants. We're absorbing lists every day. Every time we come across a hospital or an organization, they send us their list and they just use Connect because our database is so
Mhm.
robust
Yeah.
that they're just like, you just keep it up to date for us because their resource page was the same thing. It was outdated because they don't have time to go and check everything. They're doing mission work, right? That works with their foundation or their organization. And so we're just taking that off the shoulders of organizations so they can then just use Connect as their referral source. It's been amazing. And so met them. We created Connect last year around July,
Mhm.
launched. We have thousands of users. I
Mhm.
mean, every day we have more and more users. It's 100% free for families.
Yep.
That's the beautiful part. It links you directly to the application.
Yeah.
It's just an amazing platform. It's only getting better. I tell people this is like it's never going to look like this. It's only going to look better. Like
Right.
it's never going to stay stagnant because we're really trying to pour into it.
Yeah. And right now it's even, I mean, if you go onto it and you plug the website, you do all the things for it. But when you go onto it, it's so user friendly. And that's one of the things like I love getting. So we signed up when in September, I believe, it's been a few months. We signed up to be a partner together because we saw the beauty in this and we saw the need in this and the fact that you were there for something like I was trying to do on the back end as a family resource director was trying to find these things for people just to help anything that could help. And it was just roadblock after roadblock. And I, at the time, like if I'm trying to help another family, I'm not in this. My world is kind of overwhelming, but I remember being in that point of life where my world was overwhelming. And the last thing that you need is to get, go through an application only to find out, oh, it's for this very small sect in North Dakota, or you have to live in California but one of the
Mhm.
things that I've seen that is so neat about it is I love getting your weekly emails about what's updated and what's new with our grants, but also how you can customize it so specific because we have families and we'll talk about our family fund and how we can work together or do work together, but we have families who need a service dog. We have families who need help with an accessible minivan. And there are
Mhm.
just certain things that we cannot fund on our side. In our grant with the ASF Family Fund, it's twice a year and it's a $5,000 cap. Well, we all know that that doesn't even cover like the majority of special needs
Yeah.
equipment, which is heartbreaking. And we have some really great vendors that we work with that give us huge discounts because of who we are. But we still deny, and sending those denial letters through the family fund is really, really difficult. And it's probably the least favorite part of my job
Right.
because you know that the need is there. We know we are all families in this community, and you know that the need is there, and it's frustrating that insurance doesn't cover it. Um,
Yeah, so we've actually been seeing foundations. So I'll just give a good example. Team Luke, it's a TBI foundation out in Texas.
mhm.
So what they've been able to do is they have a cap also. You're limited, and
Yeah,
especially when you become well known,
right,
you get a lot of applications and you can only do what you have.
right.
And so what's been really beautiful is they are sending every single one of their
Mhm.
people that have a larger need to us. They're and which I'll talk about in a second, for a one-on-one consultation. And we have been able to really partner with them and get like a lot of the things covered that they either can't
Yep.
because they maxed out their cap already, or they don't qualify. Because
Yeah,
they don't want to, when somebody comes to them, they might have, let's say, cerebral palsy. Well, if it happened at birth,
it's
they
not
don't qualify for that grant.
right.
So, but they don't want to turn them away. They realize there's still people that have needs. And so
Yeah,
what they've been doing is saying, hey, we can help you through our partner,
yeah.
Advocacy Abbey and Support Now. And we end up, I mean, we've fundraised for vans, we've
Hmm.
found grants for therapies and equipment across the nation, into Canada and sometimes even overseas. And so it's been really, really rewarding. And so when we first came together, we created Connect. And the goal for, I think from Support Now at the time, I was just a la carte Advocacy Abby. And the goal was to create, they saw this natural gap that happens. So sometimes you fundraise and you hit your goal and it's no problem. But sometimes you have a big need and your community does a lot, but you maybe get to 75% of your goal or half your goal. Well, they
Hmm.
were like, we really think we could bridge that gap with grants. And so
Yeah.
then we created Connect and we saw this natural
Mhm.
just overflow of people starting to get funded through combination of both efforts. And then in December, they're like, hey, this is so beneficial. We would really like to bring you on so you can start meeting with people and help them make a curated plan. And so in December of 2024, I came on full time as the director of family advocacy at Support Now. So now I meet with families, and when they come to me, let's say you guys sent them to us, I get to say, okay, what's your need? And they say wheelchair accessible van. Okay, well, based on your diagnosis, we know we can apply for these grants, and there's a good likelihood that you're going to need to raise support. And we happen to have the best platform that'll keep more money in your hands to do that. And so we come up with a strategic plan. And sometimes it's not just crowdsourcing, although crowdsourcing is like the one most effective way of fundraising.
Yeah.
But I've helped people do raffles. I've helped people do golf tournaments.
Yeah.
We've organized all of this, running it through their Support Now registry. And the beauty of that is sometimes when you announce things on your registry, people go, I don't really like golf. I'm not going to go golf, but I'm going to donate.
Right.
And so it just keeps more and more donations coming towards the cause. It keeps people coming to one platform.
Right.
I've not seen any other fundraising company or organization that literally hires advocates to work one-on-one with families.
Heck no. I
And so,
mean, who has that? These nonprofits, we don't have a lot of money. Like we don't have a lot of money. We don't have a lot of resources, at least small ones like ours. And to be able to reach out, like for there to be support now, for there to be y'all that we can say, I am so like when I put in denial letters for me to be able to say, I'm so sorry we can't fund this right now, but we do have this platform that we have partnered with that would be a great. And now to go one step further and to even say, hey, you can have a consultation with Advocacy Abbey
yeah.
and really figure this out. But I think it just opens up so many doors for people because also when you want to do a golf tournament, you want to do a fundraiser, a lot of people either can't or won't do it if it's not part of a nonprofit or they don't have the tax identification number. So that's like GoFundMe. It's like is it really going where you think it's going to go? But knowing that with how y'all do it, it is like I think it gives a level of trust and support to people, that they feel comfortable donating or they feel like, it's really going to be impactful. It's really going to go to what the family needs.
Hey guys, it's Amanda here. As you know, we're here for you, our community. If you have questions about any topics we can discuss in our podcast, or if you have ideas for future episodes, we'd love to hear from you. All you need to do is email me at dearamanda@angelman.org. Thank you so much for listening and your continued support of the Angelman Syndrome Foundation.
And one of the things that I see a lot and encounter a lot is when you all of a sudden have a diagnosis or you acquire a disability or whatever it looks like for you, you go from being the giver to the receiver, and a lot of families have a hard time with that. And so what I've really feel proud of that we've been able to do is put perspective on it. I love to tell families because when you first start out, you have no idea what it's going to cost. You're just like, okay, I'm on this world. And then when the bills start rolling in, you're like, oh my goodness. So just to give a stat, it costs $240,000 to raise a neurotypical healthy child, just average kiddo, from birth to 18. It costs $1.4 million to raise a child on average with a diagnosis or disability. That's
average. And that's
average.
Even your kiddo that has specific and special needs, equipment, it does include that. But the equipment side of thing, I think, is what just knocked us over a head when we were looking for because again, it's like your child from the ages of, let's say, 0 to 5 can still fit into a jogging stroller, can still fit into these things. But then you're looking at adaptive trike. So you're looking at standers, or you're looking at strollers. I know we have the Conveyed coasters, but we're getting the sticker shock of just the fact that it is because it's labeled as special.
Yeah, because it has some supports and pillows. It is frustrating. I mean, don't get me wrong, I appreciate all the equipment. We have a Jossie stroller, for example. So we got it specifically because it's tires. We live in Florida, so having tires that can go on the beach. Because I was having to carry my son. I can barely carry him from his room to the bathroom now because it's so hard physically. See, my husband's 6'4". I mean, he's not going to be small. So we got the Jossie. And we use grants, fully funded grants, and a little bit of fundraising. But we got it, and with all the bells and whistles, it was just over $10,000. So no one would ever think they're going to pay that for a stroller. My son's wheelchair is $40,000. This is not normal. I could buy a really, really nice car for that, right?
This is a down payment on a house. I mean, one of the things that we deal a lot with are beds and safety sleepers. And again, we have some really great partners, Safe Place Bedding that really helps us out, and Abrams Nation and Courtney Bed are really great and do a lot for our community. But if you're just to go through a DME company to get that, you're looking at $15,000 for a typical one. And then the way that it's denied through insurance of, it's not necessary, or, it can't have this because it's considered, a lock, or whatever it might be. And it's like, you're already, we're already trying so hard just to sustain that. Then to have to fight for, or to give up dreams of having a stroller that, you can take your child or your adult out with, it's just devastating. So again, being able to have you and being able to have this connection and this partnership is just really I really hope everyone understands how grateful we are, and just how lucky we are.
Well, and I love, I was starting to say about the money, it's really rewarding for me to help families understand that it's okay, that you're still going to be a giver. I still give. We've done probably 3 big fundraisers for our son for different needs. And I still give. I still support. I still show up for people. I still help other disability moms and just my neighbors. And just to put it in perspective, help them to have somebody that's been there and has experienced it come alongside you, although it's different as a diagnosis, but generally, like we talked about, that change and all those emotions and all the things that you go through can be similar across diagnosis. And Yeah, having somebody like that, I think that to me that was really important to Scott and Jordan to
Yeah.
bring someone on that had experience in that world. They've lived it because they'll tell you like they come from the perspective of the friend
Hmm.
that saw things
Yeah.
happening. Like there has to be more than just bringing cash or casserole. Jordan always says that. There has to be another way to help. Well, how else can I help? And so that's why they created the registry. And so, yeah, just it is really rewarding to be able to come alongside people and see them be like, oh, it's okay. And oh, you helped me
Yeah.
position this way that doesn't sound needy.
Yes.
It allows people to share on the journey.
Right.
And it can be a really beautiful thing when you
Yeah, I
see your
think trying to share the fatigue of some families having to do a GoFundMe to try and get something or trying, you feel, like you said, as a recipient, you feel bad, but these are things that everyone needs. And I feel like one of the things that my son's diagnosis has done for us is really given us an outlook on what people need and how much is
Yep.
situation based. And, you just really feel for families that are trying to their best to get by. I'm going to put you on the spot for a little bit, but what if you had to think, because one of the things that I like about this program too is there's so many people when you start to search your grant database, you're like, oh my God, I could get a grant for that. Or, oh my gosh,
Mhm.
this exists. And if you had to what are some of the top things that you help people find? Like outside of the typical, let's say stroller, wheelchair, whatever, what are things that if you're really starting to look outside of the box and what's typical for a grant, like what are some really unique things that people could potentially.
Oh, there's so many grants out there.
Yeah.
There's everything from customized birthday cakes that would normally cost you like two to
Aw.
$300
Yeah.
to I mean, we have the Wish organizations in the database too. If you go to events, you can find them. But there's also like, I mean, everything. There's any kind of equipment you can think of can be covered. So like there's companies that have new equipment that aren't through the whole insurance approval process yet,
Yeah.
that have started to work with us because it's like, there's this one that's a walker. It's called
Mhm.
Levity. It's super amazing because it folds down flat, can go under a bed, like, and it's super
Ooh.
light, like 2 pounds to
Yeah.
lift. And then you can unfold it, and all of a sudden, the way it's a walker is your kid has their hands, so they're
Mhm.
free. So it's literally just harnessed to their body, and it goes every which way. It's so independent.
So they don't have
Gives
to use their hands
They
to
don't have to use
navigate
their
it.
hands. They can walk, and it's a weighted system. So
Yeah.
as your child fatigues, they put on more weights to give them more support. It's actually brilliant and beautiful. There's a lady named Sarah that invented it in Canada, and they just aren't through the insurance process yet. They're going through it, but it takes time getting through those things. And that's how, like my son, he received hyperbaric oxygen therapy. He received stem cell therapy in Arizona, none of which was covered by insurance.
Right.
It wasn't going to hurt my kid, so I was going to try it. When these things come out and you don't have the insurance codes, but you still need them, you got to find a way.
Right.
And so that's the kind of things. I mean, grants can cover everything from alternative treatments, although I will be totally transparent. Alternative treatments can be trickier. Now,
Sure.
if they're partnered, if it's an alternative approach with a traditional therapist, like a PTOT speech,
Hmm.
that we can get that covered.
Yeah.
It's when it's something like hyperbaric or something different, although there are MDs, medical doctors running these clinics.
Yeah.
So there's ways around all of it. I mean, everything from utilities, mortgage,
Mhm.
pharmaceutical support, respite. There's this one organization called A Mother's Respite. It's for all
Yep.
caregivers.
Yes.
It's
Love
amazing.
the mother's trust. Yes.
Yeah. So you just
Fine.
clubs, groups, like things for people that you might not even think. Like I have had so many people are like, "Oh yeah, I paid out of pocket for that intensive because their insurance." I'm like, "Don't do that."
That's what I was just going to bring up intensive. Like we have so many people in the AS community who do intensive twice a year sometimes because their kids thrive with that daily intensive therapy. And then, they're out of pocket $5,000,
Oh
$6,000
yeah.
plus. And same thing, it's like that needs to be something that we start really pushing towards y'all is this
Yeah.
understanding that we can get intensives.
I
Uh,
daily help families get intensives. Matter of fact, when we do it, we'll usually, because you don't fundraise all the time, right? You
right.
fundraise in batches, usually
Yeah.
years apart. And so I was working with a mom this morning and she was like, my son went to this intensive and he went from no control to head control to trunk control.
Yeah.
Like, I got to get him back. I paid out of pocket already twice. I don't have any more money.
Right.
And I was like, don't worry about it. We're going to do it. And so we made a plan to get two. And this is how I love to do this. So I'm like, let's do so fundraising short term, right? It happens fast.
Yep.
Your community finds out about it. They
They want
follow
us
through.
now.
Don't.
Mhm.
Yeah. So we make a plan, we get that going. Grants are like a marathon. They take time. And so the beauty of this is she is fundraising for 2 rounds of 2 weeks each of this intensive and starting to do her grants. Her hope is that she gets like 4 out of it
Yeah.
because she's going to get her quote. The grants are going to come in. They would pay
Yep.
for it, and she gets to round up and give the next one because her son's so young. She wants to get as many
As
treatments
often
in.
as possible. Hmm.
And so she's able to, God willing, pay 4 rounds of intensive in a very short amount of time.
That's amazing because that's one of the things I think we get within the social media platforms or within the ASF Family Fund. Like we had to deny someone because they weren't going to be using the intensive. We had to deny them help with intensive because they weren't going to be using it until the next year. So the plan is that the next year that they reapply and we can help them fund towards that. But the idea that maybe we can, because they're still paying out of pocket, like we can cover
Yeah.
some of it, but we can still help point them there. But
Yeah.
the other thing that I love too is the idea of getting things that will help families be out in the community, things that you don't necessarily think about. Like, I don't know if you've seen the Huckleberry,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, the
Yeah.
hiking cart, you
Yeah.
know, or
There's
the
grants
adaptive
for that.
things. Yeah, the adaptive ski lesson, the things that allow your family to experience
Yeah.
the outside world, because that's another part of this disability world is that you feel
Yeah.
sheltered and that you can't actually get out.
Yeah. There's grants for aquatic therapy. There's grants for active chairs, like no traditional chairs. They just focus on like activity, fun, Jossies, Huckleberry, hiking, like all of those kind of things. There's grants that will pay for your gym membership. So let's say you want to do this training at a gym. Like, I have a guy who has a spinal cord injury I just started working with. And he's like, I can't, he lost everything. He doesn't have family, doesn't have support. And he is now he's applying for a grant for his gym membership to be covered so he can try to gain back as much mobility in his body as possible. And it's all covered through grants. So when you go to the Connect website, it says grant type. You drop down that box and you'll see we have tons of things from camps to academic scholarships to bereavement to content where that's just like pointing to other resources
Yeah.
to physical therapy, occupational therapy, AAC devices,
Yes.
all kinds of things. So it's all listed there.
Yeah, that's why I love the ease. I love the flow of it. Anyone can come to ASF and ask, and we'll send them the links. You know, I've helped to create some of these for them, and I just love how it's all in one place, and you're not trying to just figure out life on top of it. So you've done so much good, and on top of, I don't know how you did it on top of being a caregiver yourself, but it has opened up so much for people around us.
Yeah, I'm just thankful it's there now. I didn't have these kind of things 10 years ago. And
Right.
so I'm a big proponent that if you have to take a path, you should make that path smoother for the person behind you, which is what you guys are doing at ASF. So yeah, just appreciate you guys sharing this. The more, I mean, we just want people to know about it. So we encourage people, if you have a larger need, if you have a smaller need, like you need a smaller activity chair or something that's 2 to 3,000, you're going to find that grant in seconds on the Connect site. Like, you truly will. But when you're looking at wheelchair accessible van or intensives and you're at the 8, 10, $15,000 mark or higher, I love to sit down with those families and make a plan of action to help them hit those goals.
I love that too, because and I think a lot of people, you get the denial letter from insurance and you're just beat down, or you get the appeal denial level. And again, it's like, where can you go? And then for our community, they know about the ASF Family Fund, but we're small and we're only open 2 times a year. So it's like you have to wait until April, you have to wait until October. But sometimes you need that activity chair now. Sometimes you need that stroller now.
Yep.
And, there's limits on how many times you can apply. It's just, it is what it is. We want to fund everyone and we just can't. But to be able, like the people who ask for an activity chair, and we're like, we just can't do it. We know that there's going to be an option, but it's the ones that we get who need like their backyard paved to be accessible, or they need a
Yeah.
ramp, which are
There-
upwards of 20,000, or they need
yeah.
they need an AC unit to help,
Yeah.
cool down their child who can't regulate their temperature.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
these
We have those miscellaneous ones, and we actually the modifications is under
yeah,
home
home
and
modifications.
vehicle.
Hmm.
Yeah. So to me, yeah, it should make people's lives much simpler.
Right.
And then it's just doing the work. And so one of the things we
Right.
teach is when you get a Connect account, you're going to get an email or Support Now. They both of these do this, and you get small little videos to consume. Like, how do I sort this? How's the best practices? Because if you just log in and you don't review anything, you're going to be overwhelmed. You're like, oh, 35 pages of grants. That's amazing, but where do I start?
Yeah.
That's where it's learning how to use your lightning bolt feature, which is just our pending review
Yeah.
section, learning how to sort it in a way that makes it easy when you go to apply because you're looking at your favorites. You're not trying to thumb through
Right.
everything. So those are a few things that we teach, and then I teach when I meet with one-on-one people like how to use the toolbox method, which
Hmm.
is just gathering all your information in one place to make applying simple. Because grant fatigue is a real thing too. Like you can get
Agreed.
fatigued,
Yeah.
applying. So I teach people how to make it simple so you can apply for 5 or 6 grants in one
Right.
sitting.
That's what I was
Um,
going to ask you before we let you go, and we're all busy here. But two things I want before someone even comes to connect, before they consult with you, what are some things that they need to make sure that they have ready on their end so that when it does come time to apply, they're ready to go and they're not going to be held up by some of this other red tape stuff?
right. So if somebody has come to me for a one-on-one, what I would say is the ideal person to meet with me currently would be a person with a new diagnosis they just found out. So they have no concept what it's about to cost because I can help bring some reality to that.
Yeah.
And or a person that has a clear need. So when
Mhm.
people come to me and they go, everything's just expensive, I don't know where to start. I don't know where to start either
Right. Right.
because grants are very specific.
Yes.
Some are like, we just do equipment, we just do therapies, we only do this
Yeah.
diagnosis. Like you have to be specific. So the first thing would be know what is your aim? Where are you aiming?
Prioritize what your needs
Yes.
are at the time. Yeah.
Yeah. And if they go to my website, advocacyabby.com, there's actually a financial needs, it's all free, downloadable that if you're like, I don't know, I need stuff for school, I need stuff for this, I need stuff for that. It'll help you prioritize where to start if you're feeling overwhelmed.
Mhm.
So you can take that little, it's not a test really, but just what do you call it? Like exercise to
Yeah.
help you figure out where you're going to start.
Yeah.
But just have a clear need. Once you know what you need, if it's equipment, therapy, or treatment, you need a quote.
Okay.
So that is usually what holds people up the most.
Yes.
Because I will say you need a quote, you need proof of diagnosis,
Yes.
and then the rest of the things you'll probably have, like
And
your proof
we
of income.
we say that as well, is that we need a quote and we need proof of diagnosis. And I think that is, you're right, where people get held up because for us, a screenshot of something that you want isn't so easy, but you can go through Riften, you can go through a DME company, you can go through these safety beds, especially for equipment, therapies, and you can get a quote. So I think you're
Yeah.
right, making sure that you have that, but also that the proof of diagnosis is not just a letter from your doctor that says your child has this. At least that's what we have found is that you need to have the actual report or
Well,
something
see,
a little bit
I
more.
have a I have most of my grants, and if that's good to know for you guys. So if I am using your, like referring to your grant, that we have that. But a lot of my
They
grants
can
will
use it in
take,
note.
yeah, they'll take a note
Yeah,
from a
we
doctor, but it
will.
has to be letterhead,
Yes,
right? Oh, you will use the, yeah. So on letterhead, not just a random like, yeah, this kid has this with no like proof that it's actually a doctor. That doesn't work. But they also use an IEP sometimes
oh, that just
because
says it in there. Yep.
yeah, that because it'll list
Because of
out the
that's
actual
awesome.
which
That's
they got from a doctor.
perfect.
So, yeah.
What else, if you had to give just like one last piece of advice or one last snippet of, who you are and how you can help or anything to this world that we're about to send this out into this podcast, what would it be? I know, put you on the spot.
Yeah, let me think. I think be willing to do the work because it will pay off in the
Yeah.
long run. So be willing to make the appeal with your insurance because when they finally realize they're not going to get it, be able to just deny you because you're going to fight, things tend to come a little easier.
Yeah.
Be willing to learn how to do grants because once you learn it, you unlock an amazing amount of financial support. I've probably raised over 100,000 through grants for my family. Um, be willing to put yourself out there and not just for yourself, right? So like if you're fundraising, you're like, oh, I don't want, it's not just you. You're allowing the next person that's sitting in your shoes to know it's okay. It's okay to share and let your community come alongside you. Because that's the way we position it. We don't
Yeah.
position on, we need funds, go fund me. We don't do
Right.
that. We say, this is our journey, and you're invited to support us in whichever way suits you, but follow along
Right.
regardless.
Right.
Because it does become like your blog, you can update there. So I think I try to encourage people. Like there was one mom I was working with, and she was really overwhelmed because in her community, disability is not accepted. And it's just not that it's not even necessarily not accepted, it's not understood or
Yeah.
known. She's like, no one, when I say he has a rare diagnosis, people don't understand. They don't understand why he's two and he's not doing what other 2-year-olds are doing.
Right.
And she goes, I get really overwhelmed. And she was really upset on the call. And I reminded her that that's his community too. And
Yes.
it's yours. And when we as disability parents go away, we hide in our homes, we don't go out because it's overwhelming. We don't like to deal with people's comments or we don't want to deal. We allow the community to set the standards of who is a part of the community. And I just personally refuse that.
Yeah.
My son is so I know some people have diagnosis and you could never tell.
Right.
My son, you can tell, right?
Right.
He's in a wheelchair, he has a trach, like it's visible. He is a part of every community that we're a part of. When
Yeah.
he rolls into the kids' basketball or volleyball games, people are like, "What's up? Why? What's up?" Like, because it used to be, and it's still our stares, like, and I think it's normal.
Always.
People stare at what's different.
Right.
But as they get to know him, they just are like, oh, it's just Wyatt. And
Yeah.
that to me is so rewarding when we go out and I can see the joy in Wyatt's face when people just hang out with him. Like he just went to church camp for a week and
Ah,
he was just another killed kid that
yeah.
willed up in there and like and his nurse went with him. So I
Right.
mean,
So he was taken care of. You knew. Yeah.
yeah, he was fine and he loved it. He got home and with his eye gaze, he told us like, "Can I go back now?" Because he came home early for a therapy. So we would let him go back and
Yeah.
like it was just that's rewarding and that is years in the making.
Yes.
So
Yes.
if we had and I know how easy it is to just stay home and not deal with the people. I
Yeah.
get it. So there's no judgment if that's where you're at, but be encouraged to put yourself out there. Over time, it becomes easier and easier. And when that next person is in your shoes, they will have seen you live the way that they want to.
Yeah.
And it gives them courage. And so,
Well,
yeah, just take the courage, do the work. I don't know. That's
they're
definitely more
beautiful.
than one thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so beautiful what you created because we all want community. We all want to be out in the community. And I think the disability side of things have limited so many families from being able to do that, whether it's a van, whether it's a stroller, whether it's, the right therapy, a nurse or someone, but you have created a way to open those doors and for families to be in the community. And that's what I hope so many people get from this is that they can go to at advocacyabby.com. Is it at Advocacy Abby or just advocacy?
It's advocacyabby.com if you want to book with me. But if you're looking for Connect, you can just, it's
Yep.
grants.supportnow.org. And it's not, yeah, advocacyabby.com, grants.supportnow.org, or just supportnow.org.
Yes. All
And
of
for
which
the
is also on our website, angelman.org. So they can also find all of that on our website. But thank you so much for what you've done for this community. You didn't have to do it. I love your passion. I love your ability and just what you saw come to fruition that I think so many moms out there wanted to do and didn't know how to do. And you've just You've just done so much for this world. So,
Oh,
and for taking the time today to tell us about it. And
I'm just hopeful that it helps someone, and I know that's our goal at Support Now is just to be the place that makes things easier for families, and so hopefully that'll be that for ASF families too.
yeah, we all need it. Well, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate
Yeah, no
you.
problem.
Thanks for listening to the ASF podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to support us, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating or review. And please don't forget to subscribe.